Welcome back to Forward Progress presented by Fanduel. And today we're going to take a look at an AFC East preview. We're going to take a look at some futures, some ways you can attack these teams maybe in season. Heck, who knows, even some players' futures. Jason Cooper here as your host alongside Austin Mock at AMock419 on Twitter. Let's pull up the divisional odds and get right into things. The Buffalo Bills at the very top, minus 250 to win the AFC East. Then a massive cliff. We have the New England Patriots at plus 500. The Miami Dolphins at plus 700, and then the New York Jets at 14 to 1. Let's start with the Buffalo Bills here. Like I said, priced minus 250 to win the division. That's not it, though. They are the odds-on favorite to finish as the number one seed in the AFC, plus 250. Their win total, 11.5, juice towards the over with heavy juice around minus 160 at the time of recording this video. I mean, it's a strong team. Josh Allen is their quarterback. It's very tough for things to go wrong when you have Josh Allen as your quarterback. If he stays healthy, tell me a little bit about the weaknesses in this team, where it stands right now, and then maybe how you would play this team either in futures markets or maybe in the first couple of weeks.
Yeah, I think that's the key. It's Josh Allen. They're the elite quarterback team that I don't actually think is like that strong outside of the quarterback position. So, like you mentioned, if he stays healthy, I do think if he stays healthy, it's going to be very hard for them to not win this division. But there are weaknesses. The wide receiver position is not exactly proven. Dalton Kincaid, their first round pick a couple years ago, hasn't really blossomed into what they want as a pass catching tight end. In the defense, I have questions. Like Matt Milano's a good player. Can he stay healthy for a full season? There's a lot of discussions about like, hey, they got Joey Bosa in the offseason. Can he stay healthy for a whole season? That's probably not likely. He's already been banged up in the offseason. So that's my biggest concern with them, is if he goes down, I think this could be like a bottom 10 team in the NFL type. Like, that's how big the drop off is. So I don't want to say that they're not good. Like, they are. I think they should be this favorite. I don't know if I'd price them quite this high. They're getting the max juice because Josh Allen's a consensus top three quarterback. I don't think anybody's really ranking him outside the top three. So if I had to look at it, I would be looking to fade them, but I don't know if there's like a ton of prices that I love it at. If there is one thing where I'll be looking for them, like maybe later in the season, they do have like starting in week 11, Tampa Bay, Houston, Pittsburgh, Cincinnati, New England, at Cleveland, Philly. Like, that's a kind of tough stretch where I think maybe they could like have a, not necessarily fade them in season, but like maybe take a, 1 seed odds from, Baltimore or Kansas City, get decent prices on them. So their schedule's kind of backloaded. So that's somewhere that I'll maybe be looking. I said they're not very strong. Maybe depth concerns creep in there as well. So that's kind of where I am. I think they're the best team in the division by a good shot. But they do have some weaknesses that if anything happens to Allen, I think they could fall off a cliff.
Yeah, and even if we're going to take a look at this team from a player props perspective, I mean, going into week 1, week 2, week 3, we're not really going to know how the wide receiver room is going to shake out. They brought in Elijah Moore. They brought in Josh Palmer. They still have Curtis Samuel, Keon Coleman, who they drafted, Khalil Shakir. I mean, those guys are probably all – Khalil Shakir probably will be slightly higher in maybe the 40s, 50s, but like all those other guys are probably going to be priced around their low 30s, 20 range. Could be a good place to attack early on in the season if you have some sort of conviction, or maybe if we hear a little bit more throughout training camp about these wide receivers. Keon Coleman, maybe, who knows if he could take a step. Keep an eye on that if you want to look to bet the Bills, early on in the season for player props. Let's move on to, listen, I usually do these in order in terms of the division, where up next it would normally be the Patriots, but I'm going to save the most interesting team for last. Let's scooch up the New York Jets because, listen, we got to get them out of the way at some point here. I mean, they are minus 110 to finish last in this division, according to Fanduel. I mean, this is going to be a struggle for them. It's been a struggle every year, but at least for Jets fans, they know this year will be a struggle. So maybe that's a slight positive you can hold on to. What is there to say about this team? Is there any way you want to attack them in futures markets? How do we talk about this team? Like, how about this? I'll challenge you to do something here. Say one nice thing about the Jets.
I think if the defense stays healthy, it can be pretty solid again. Aaron, I didn't think Aaron Glenn was like this crazy, amazing defensive mind when he was in Detroit. Obviously the culture thing there, which I do believe is a factor when you're talking about coordinators, head coaches, and whatnot. So maybe he can squeeze out some extra potential. But they do have some dudes on the defensive side of the ball at all three levels. Obviously, quarterback play is very sporadic, but if Sauce Gardner can get back to who he was, then obviously like that just changes everything when you have a lockdown corner with that potential. And then defensive line, Quinton Williams, Will McDonald have another good, like they got guys who can make quarterbacks and other, the opposing offensive line's life tough. So that's kind of where you kind of want to hope, kind of similar to me of like the early season Justin Fields Pittsburgh Steelers last year was like slow, like scoring games. Fields takes care of the ball. Like that's probably your hope here. But yeah, if they're gonna overachieve this year, it's gonna be because the defense stays healthy and you get some guys to perform at a high level.
Yeah, I'm just gonna pull up their odds for regular season win totals here. I mean, right now 5.5 juice towards the over at -160. I mean, I don't know what to make of this team. I don't even really know how we're gonna talk, how I want to talk about them, but. Hey, maybe I just like to think about how I attack guys in player props in the first couple of weeks. What are your thoughts on like Garrett Wilson unders? He'll probably be priced around the low 60s, maybe just based off of last year. I mean, you look at Justin Fields. He only had one game where he threw for 300 yards or more. He tends to not throw a lot. You got to imagine they'll scheme him up in the run game here. Like, any thoughts on maybe Garrett Wilson unders early in the season, depending on price here?
Yeah, I definitely. Yeah, again, obviously price dependent here, but I would not be like buying stock in the Garrett Wilson props early in the season. I cannot see a world where they're like they're coming way too low where I want to buy the over, because one, I don't think it's going to be a very good offense. That's, like I said, I don't think the Jets are going to be strong there. Obviously, Fields is not someone you want to be throwing the ball a ton. Now, there's the argument that they could be losing a lot, I guess. But, yeah, I think because he's like the only sure pass-catching option on that team, I think unders would be a decent look there, depending on the price. But I also, like, one thing that I think could surprise people, Braylon Allen. I think he showed some things. I don't know what his market will be early in the season, with him not being like a for sure running back one. But I think he could be someone, as the season gets on. I liked what I saw at him last year, where I think maybe, I don't want to say it's like a Chase Brown situation in Cincinnati last year, but I think he could surprise and be some early prop overs as the season progresses.
I love that. I feel like the best ball bros out there, maybe if your fantasy bros, like this is maybe a guy you might want to take a swing on late in drafts. Also, just quickly mention Garrett Wilson is priced right now on FanDuel. If you want to bet his season long receiving yards, priced at 950.5 right now. The under -114, the over -115. So maybe I was a little bit wrong there. Maybe that number is going to be baked in. The Justin Fields effect. I mean, we all assume it's going to be baked in, but it seems like it's getting priced in pretty well. Before we get into the next two teams that we're going to discuss, just want to give a quick shout out to our sponsors over at FanDuel. It might be the offseason, but if you want to bet on the NFL and NFL futures, FanDuel is the place to go for that action. They have tons of futures and props available, from award markets to Super Bowl winners to Super Bowl exactas. Heck, who you think is going to win the division? Win totals that you can parlay only at FanDuel. Just visit FanDuel.com/forward progress to download America's #1 sportsbook. That's FanDuel.com/forward progress. Let's dive into the next team. No pun intended. The Miami Dolphins. I mean, it's June. It's June. The Miami Dolphins here. A lot to talk about. A lot of concern for me, especially considering their offensive line. I mean, you lose around 2,000, just under 2,000 snaps by losing Robert Jones and Teron Armstead. You're replacing them with kind of like a hodgepodge of players. New signing James Daniels, who's coming off an injury. Jonas Svainaya. Going to pronounce that wrong. The new rookie that they drafted in the second round. Maybe some internal solutions. Not the thing you want to see going into the season when you know your quarterback has severe concussion issues. So, tell me your thoughts about the Miami Dolphins, what their range of outcomes might be, and also, what are your thoughts on Mike McDaniel as a whole? We've seen him be like lead an 11-win team in the Miami Dolphins 2 years ago to almost just bottoming out last year. What type of team are we going to get here?
Yeah, I think this is one of the more wider range of possibilities. Not even going into Tua's injury history there. You mentioned the offensive line. I have them ranked dead last in like offensive line talent, whatever you want, production going into the season. They're the worst rated offensive line for me. That's not what I want to see here. Like definitely with Tua, like you said, Tua is also not a guy who's gonna scramble too much, so that's a concern. We've also seen if he does get injured, the offense falls off a cliff. Outside of that, like it's a where like Jalen Ramsey might not be on that defense for this year, and I know they went kind of defense heavy with Kenneth Grant in the first round. In their I think three of their first four draft picks were on the defensive side of the ball. But like I don't think the defense is all that special. So like you're talking about a team who might have major offensive line issues all year, a defense that like I think if they were slightly above average would be seen as like a huge hit for them. That spells a team that, like, if you told me the Dolphins win 10, 11 games because Tua plays well and they have the offensive weapons, sure. But if the offensive line issues can't be overcome and the defense doesn't play that well, if you told me this team won 4 or 5 games, I would not be shocked either. Like, I really do believe the range is pretty wide on them. And, yeah, they've destroyed bad teams, and the schedule is not terrible. It is a little bit backloaded. But, yeah, I don't know. This team, I don't love the depth. I don't love the offensive line play. That's not a team that I want to be backing in a 17-game NFL season. So wide range, but this is a team I probably want to fade as the season goes on, and definitely early in the year.
Wide range, closer towards their floor, it seems like. And again, like you mentioned, Tua with the injury history, Zach Wilson as their, I guess, primary backup, or Quinn Ewers. I don't know. You get to pick and choose. If we see a Tua injury this year, it will be very, very disgusting for the Miami Dolphins. On top of that, it seems like as the time goes on, that really strong year for the Miami Dolphins might have just been a Vic Fangio fat tail defense optimal outcome for them for that year. And maybe, hey, Mike McDaniels. Who knows what to
I didn't touch on McDaniel. I think McDaniel. I think he's solid. Like he's in that offensive. I think offensively he's good. OC wise, he's good. I'd be confident. It's tough to tell. They haven't drafted all that well, so that's a concern. And when they've had to, they've never really been like terrible. So I think that's like a plus side of things. But yeah, I don't know if it's kind of like if this year doesn't go well, it's like, all right, well, we paid Tua, it didn't work out. That's a curse as a head coach. You pay a quarterback and it doesn't work out, you're not going to be coaching that team for very long. So I would be okay to give him another chance, but I could see him being like a Cliff Kingsbury, one of these better like teams, maybe with a younger quarterback, get him in as an OC. That'd be something I look forward to next year. But I'm not totally out on him unless this year's like just a disaster. But it's been okay in Miami so far for what they have.
Yep. Fair enough. Let's move on to the last team, the sexiest team in this division, the New England Patriots. Everyone and their mother seems to be calling this team a sleeper team, but in my books, this is like the square or like the I don't pay attention to betting odds sleeper team, because if you go peel back the curtain, take a look on Fanduel, their price right now, their win total is priced at 7.5, and it's heavily juiced towards the over. This is implying an 8-win team here for the New England Patriots. So, I mean, it's hard to say. I think people are calling them a sleeper team because they were so bad last year, but like at -160 towards the over at 7.5 wins, it's really tough to call them a team that's going to outperform current expectations. So, listen, I don't blame them though. They obviously had some great offseason moves. They surround their number one quarterback with some bookend tackles. You sign Morgan Moses, you draft Will Campbell. You get Stephon Diggs, make some good moves on the defense. You get Mike Vrabel, who's like, some would call him a very good head coach, probably get a bump there. My question is, like, has again, 7.5 -160 towards the over for their win total. Has the love gone almost too far for the New England Patriots? Are we getting a little bit too excited with them already? Or do you think this is the year and Drake May's just going to ball the F out for this team? Like, tell me your thoughts. Are they too far gone, or is it just about right?
Yeah, this is one of those weird kind of like the sweep. I think this aligns with the sleeper squareness. Is like I don't think they're going to be an average team in the NFL, but I do think because of their schedule, and I do think they're going to be so much better than they were last year, that like I do kind of agree with where the number is. Like I have them squarely in the 8s with my win total projection for my numbers. So the big thing though is the schedule. I have a 31st ranked schedule, and the bottom 3 teams in my schedule metric are like nowhere near the like the fourth easy. Like they're in a tier of their own at the bottom of the schedule there. So that's the big thing. You give Vrabel, who's a guy, he's able to get the most out of guys, and that's where like I don't think Harold Landry is like an amazing signing, but like obviously familiarity with Vrabel, but also just like if he's able to get more out, if like you can get more out of Keon White, like these guys that were like have had like either one decent season for the Patriots and whatnot, they have a coach that's able to squeeze out that potential. So that's another thing that and he's a proven winner. Like he won a lot in Tennessee. I'm not saying like he was ever, but it was Ryan Tannehill at quarterback. They were never a Super Bowl winning team, but they were the 1 seed in the AFC one year. So I am buying the Patriots hype. I think they're priced fine. Like I'm squaring up some alternate win total markets just because, again, I talked about like I'm not super high on the Dolphins. I don't know what the ceiling is for the Jets. I talked about like obviously the Bills are the best team in the division, but they're a Josh Allen injury away from being like I don't think a very good team. So that kind of just plays into, and I'm not like I haven't even spoke about Drake May yet. Like if he takes a second year jump, like then it's even better. So I it's more of like a combination of everything. Easy schedule. Vrabel's gonna be a bump from what they had last year. Plus, like I'm not super high on the rest of the division outside of Josh Allen, really. So I do think this team has enough pieces with the offseason that they had, with the acquisitions they made, plus the coaching staff, bump in what they're getting with Vrabel and his staff. I think I do like if they won 9-10 games, I would not be shocked. Kind of reminds me of like the Texans 2 years ago with Stroud as a rookie, like just good coaching, good defensive coach, got the most out of that roster. They played an easy schedule. They won the division. I think that may be a little far-fetched here with the Patriots, but I do think they could. I do think they're live for the playoffs, so I'm looking to buy on the Patriots. Call me a square.
Like that.
I'm fine with
No, I didn't. Listen, I'm not. That wasn't meant to be like if you like the Patriots, you're square. It was like this thing where we're gonna see like if the Patriots land on 8 wins, there's gonna be people running to the streets on Twitter saying like, "See, look, I told you they were gonna be good." Meanwhile, like that was the market expectation the entire damn time. Like and that was kind of what we thought was gonna happen with this team. Like we know that that's probably gonna happen. Like now, if they go 9-10 wins, then there you go. That's exceeding expectations. I think it's just the expectations. How do I say it? Like the expectations that the public perceives it to be is not what it actually is in terms of the betting odds.
Your expectations should not be, or like you shouldn't be analyzing their season as like, hey, they went from 4 wins to 8. Like, because that's not like the full picture. Like, yes, year to year, they did win 4 more games, but like they were expected to win 8. So like it was kind of, they met expectations. They did not exceed. So
in much better words than I could ever put. Thank you, Austin. I'm gonna pull up their win total odds right now. That over 9.5 plus 175 right now for the New England Patriots, and like I mentioned before, that 7.5 at minus 160. I'm starting to see some books list the 8.5 now at plus money. Before we head out, also just want to actually touch on one more thing. Drake May ran the football quite a bit in college, so I think his like rushing pop was around like the mid to high 20s last year. He didn't have a lot of design runs last year. Maybe Josh McDaniels comes in out the gate. We see some more design runs for him. Like could be something you look towards early on in the season. Something to maybe consider here for the Patriots and Drake May. Before we head out, last thing. Go ahead.
Just one point on that. Tannehill ran a decent bit when he was in Tennessee. Like not anything crazy, but like he had 2 seasons where he ran for 7 touchdowns and 250 plus yards. And I don't think Ryan Tannehill is the athlete that Drake May is. So do that with what you may there. I think that is a potential for using his legs more to boost that offense. Because I don't think the offense doesn't have a ton of talent. I'm still worried. But obviously if Drake can take the next step, and obviously anything he gets from his legs will help as well. So
absolutely. All right, let's last question here before we head out. Gun to your head. Going to ask you the exact finishing order for the AFC East in 2025. Give it to me.
I'll go boring again. I'm gonna go chalk. Bills. I don't know. Like I guess like depending on Fanduel has Patriots slightly above the Dolphins. I think it's close, but I'll go Patriots second, Dolphins third, Jets. But if I like from an odds standpoint and where the division is, I think the Dolphins are probably should be closer to the Jets than the Patriots in that. Like I think that order is perceived incorrectly. If not to go full chalk.
Fair enough. I'm going to pull it up right now. It's plus 420, what you mentioned there on Fanduel. Listen, if we recorded this last week, it would have been closer to that plus 450, 470 range because we did see the Miami Dolphins tick up a bit. And hey, who knows? Maybe you can shop around and find an exact finishing position for the Miami Dolphins, or like, I was going to say a no for their division winner at like plus, like on the other side. Who knows? Shop around. Maybe you'll find that out there. But that just wraps it up for us here today. It is mid-June and we are struggling. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you want to do us a favor, smash that like button. It goes a long way for us in the algorithm. Also, drop your comments down below. Give me your thoughts on this division, who you think is going to win, if you think there's going to be any surprises, everything. We want to hear from you. I love going through these comments and responding to each and every one of you. So do us a favor, drop us a comment. We'll have a conversation in the comment section down below. If you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. And that's about it for us today. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll see you in the next one.